So I'm a little twitchy about it. But yeah, no, so we can jump right in. I'm very excited to be hanging out with you and talking with you. This has been like months in the making. We've been talking about this for a while. One thing that I thought was that I enjoyed about this is, typically I meet the artists for the first time when I'm interviewing them, maybe sometimes briefly right before. Because we talked about this months before and because we're a part of the same scene, I actually got to talk to you and get to know you a little bit before we actually did the interview, which makes this all so much more seamless. And I feel like I'm talking with a friend of mine instead of becoming friends and interviewing all in one process. So yeah, I'm really excited to catch you. This will be my second time seeing you, but I loved watching your first set. It was incredible. It was really cool to be able to talk to you a little bit and then witness how you perform. So yeah, that was awesome. One of the first things I wanted to mention, I wanted to talk about your new single, Coagulate. Specifically, I've noticed I've liked the descriptions people have given of you, whether it's in write-ups or people, promoters trying to figure out how to describe you on a lineup. I've seen ethereal is one of the tags I've seen used. Experimental is another one, usually falling under dark wave, but I feel like both of those are accurate. But I wanted to ask you, do you feel like either of those describe you well, or would you describe yourself in another way? Or
no, I really feel like a lot of my production style is very much rooted in what I call ethereal dark wave.
Oh, okay.
And I think part of the reason why people sometimes struggle to categorize it is because it really is just experimental electronic at its core.
Yeah.
It's dark, but there are so many different elements and types of sampling and melodic structures I use that maybe don't fit the dark wave genre just in that word alone.
Yeah.
So you're correct that ethereal and almost kind of experimental dark wave is how I'd categorize my music. And I really actually am complimented, and I find it very flattering when people agree and think the same thing about it.
Yeah, and it's actually one of the things I really like about you. Like in any lineup, you're going to stand out, and I feel like you've done a good job kind of carving out your own sonic signature, and I feel like that is just kind of the hallmark of any great artist, But I like that you don't mind. Again, still falling within the dark wave category, you'd fit on any one of the lineup, any one of the bills we have around here. But doing your own thing while you're doing it, even being brave enough to stray from the floor to the floor. Even myself, when I'm writing, I have a hard time getting around that, and you do a good job of kind of. I feel like a lot of your beats are very bouncy, instead of that stompy
Bouncy.
floor to the floor, they kind of bounce
like
a little
that.
bit more. And it feels fun. It adds a little bit of levity, even though the atmosphere is usually pretty dark and kind of expansive, which I really like your atmospherics. I like that you're, again, brave enough to let the song breathe a little bit and add a bunch of reverb or delay or whatever and kind of really build an atmosphere. Is that intentional, or is that just kind of how you write? Or
I would say absolutely. Just to put it simply, when I create music, I am approaching it from a very emotional and melancholy point of view. I think that's obvious. But one of the things that I always try to capture in all of my songs is effortlessness and fun. I want people to enjoy my music and dance to it. I want them to feel free and especially carefree while they're listening. So in a sense, it's a mixture of both. I want to have real heartfelt emotion tied to it, but I also want people just to be able to party.
Nice.
And I think that is kind of how it coincides with it being goth in nature, and also experimental in nature. So I am very grateful that that's how people have responded to it.
Nice. Yeah, no, and it's definitely a lot of fun live. The one time I caught you, everybody was dancing. It was amazing. You really opened up that night, so it was awesome. Speaking of songwriting, I was curious. So I saw, I don't know if it was a few weeks ago or how long ago it was, but I saw you post, new gear. I get excited. So, I nerd out on gear. I don't remember if it was a 303 or what it was you had posted. I thought it was maybe a drum machine or a synthesizer, but I wanted to ask you about that before I get into the songwriting part of it. Is there any new pieces of gear you've gotten lately that have kind of inspired you or kind of changed the way you write a little bit or approach things? Or
Yeah, so what you may have seen is a Korg drum synthesizer.
That was what it was.
And
yes.
I'm a big Korg lover.
Okay.
I'm sort of learning to embrace the analog instrumentation, and I'm trying to just experiment with different types of synthesizers in general. My goal is to buy a Roland Juno
Nice.
Of any model because I love them.
They all sound beautiful, yeah.
But as far as right now, all I'm using is an Akai, I think is how you say it, an Akai MIDI keyboard.
Okay.
And good old Ableton.
Nice.
Very much just digital synthesis and a lot of how I produce right now. It's pretty simple but effective.
Okay.
And a lot of the plugins I use are old classic plugins, of which people have been using for a long time since digital audio softwares have been out. So it's really cool to use like Silent and Massive and Zebra and Zebralet, all of those.
Using Massive in so long, so
and they're all classic.
Guy,
so being able to use those and apply it to my music has been really fun. But I don't actually have a ton of like actual analog gear.
Yeah.
It's something that I want to invest in more of. But really, what you see and hear on stage is Ableton.
So is it? So your interest in your newfound interest in analog gear? Is that something you're wanting to incorporate live, or is this something you're wanting is more of like a sonic palette, like you're trying to add more sounds to your recorded sound? Is it?
That's a great question. I really see it more of a live asset because there's power in analog. Yes. There's power in the sound. It's very robust. And it's really rewarding to play things live, but truly live.
It humanizes
It definitely humanizes
right?
it, yes. And that is one of my goals, is to use them more as live instrumentation.
Yeah.
But what I want to make sure I do is not discount how amazing it is, how we've packed so much music knowledge into a software for 50 plus years or whatnot.
You can't discount them, and I found that because I tried to make
and it is a skill for sure.
I tried to make the switch to analog. I got a hybrid synthesizer actually, but it was a little disappointing to find out that a digital synthesizer can do things my hardware could never dream of. That I was probably going to have to spend over $3,000 if I'm going to get something that can
$3K or
even
more.
Try to like compete with like something like Serum or even Massive to a degree. It's
right.
So that was an interesting thing. And then the question is, well, then why did you buy this? How are you going to use it? How are you going to incorporate it? Because you do want this as a part of your set, and it kind of helped me hone it down a little bit. That leads to the next question. I was curious to know, we talked a little bit beforehand and found out that you do write your own music. That is what I suspected. Just, you're showing off gear and stuff like that. So I'm like, that's really cool. She probably writes her own stuff. How do you approach songwriting? So do you usually start out with an instrumental, or do you have like a melody in mind and then kind of craft an instrumental around it? Maybe both. How do you typically approach it?
It really depends on the song. Oftentimes the melody and beat comes first.
Okay.
Before any vocals. And it'll start from a simple melody I'm humming.
Oh, that's
I'll
cool.
either be out doing something casual and I'll encounter a song or melody that's inspiring, and then I base it off that, and then I try to at least bring in a beat to get an idea of what kind of song is this going to be. Is it going to be a dance track? Is it going to be a ballad?
Take on life, right?
And so really it's the beats and melody that come first.
Okay.
And then the lyrics can often just be written at a moment's notice. I don't really think that much about lyrics. Maybe I should. But oftentimes my best lyrics are the ones I think about the least.
Yeah.
So
really.
That is really how...
That'll feel so stilted when it's kind of inspired rather than like, you saying literally what you want to say.
If I think too hard about it, it feels very contrived.
Yes, that's
kind of generic.
Description, yeah.
So I let the words just flow, and melody and beats always come first.
That's
Hopefully
really cool.
that answers the question.
That totally answers it, and I feel like so many of the questions I'm asking you is just me as a musician myself. I'm like, well, it's so cool to be able to talk to other musicians. Speaking of the other musicians, I thought it was really cool to find out how much Caress has helped part of your creative process. For those that aren't aware, for whatever reason, Caress. Yes, I'm wearing one of her designs right now. she's an amazing artist from out of LA. I've been listening to her for a while, and to find out she's coming down here is really cool. Hoping to get her down over in Merced sometime too.
Yes, correct.
But I had wanted to ask you about the T-shirt design. I was immediately like, as soon as I saw the design, I was like, I have to have that shirt. That is so cool. This is a shirt I would own even if I wasn't, didn't have your name on it. I just think this design is just so cool. It immediately resonated with me. And so I had initially wanted to ask you behind, the inspiration behind the design. I didn't know if you had done it or if someone else had done it. You let me know before the interview that Caress actually did it, but that there is kind of I would say a shared inspiration behind what went behind the design. Could you speak a little bit more on the design and kind of what went into it, I guess?
Yeah, I knew that I had wanted to create a design to represent Evangile, myself, and the music, and I trusted her, knowing that she was already a digital and graphic designer, I should say. But also knowing that her and I are kindred spirits. We're both women in this field that's heavily dominated by men. She is also Armenian.
Sorry to cut you off, but I'm like, it's so weird to me that it's male dominated in the sense that there's not that many of us in the crowd, but there's plenty of us behind the scenes that are DJing or performing, and so it's a weird kind of. It's a weird sort of imbalance. You would think if the majority of the crowd is women, that they would be the ones kind of
right.
But I have encountered plenty of female-ran, venues or promotion groups and stuff like that. But sorry, that was a total different tangent.
That's totally okay.
It just struck me when you said that, but
and I bring it up just because it's what her and I were able to bond on.
Yeah.
But also the point is, it is changing because we're here.
Yeah.
Her and I are doing this thing. We're meeting. We're collaborating, and like you said, that idea is becoming a lot more common and it's changing. And so when I thought of my design, I really wanted to go to somebody who is a true artist, who really takes pride in their work. And so I reached out and I said, give me something that defines Evangile, make it dark, make it feminine, but make it represent our heritage, which is why I wanted to ask her too, because we were both Armenian.
Yeah.
And I am Lebanese Armenian, and she's very acquainted and has plenty of friends who are as well. So she collaborated with her friends and asked them, what should we put on the shirt? And looked up, old text and looked at biblical figures and mythological figures and really thought it through to create this super awesome design that represents Evangile, tied to my heritage, but also tied to who I am as an artist, which is, I like to say, dark feminine energy and representing that. So I fell in love with it when I saw it, and I'm so happy I have it to share with others.
I think it's cool that, it's just another way to mention Caressa. Like, again, she's coming down. I'm a huge fan of her work. And then to find out that she's working so closely with one of our own, favorite local artists, I just thought that was really cool. Definitely had to be mentioned. I also wanted to mention, since we're talking about, playing out in Merced, I'm thankful that I've been able to throw our first goth night out in Merced. That's I feel like that was something that was sorely needed, and it happens to be a good little in-between spot between our friends here in Modesto, with Disorder Presents, and also our friends out in Club Infernum in Modesto. So I wanted to shameless plug, but I'm very excited.
We're shameless here. That's okay.
I'm excited to mention that you're coming next month. You're going to be playing over in Merced June 27th.
June 27th. That's right. I'm so excited too. By the way.
Thank you. No, awesome. It's going to be awesome to have you. DJ Star, still not sure if she prefers DJ Star or DJ Star. I'm not even trying to say it. I forgot. I tried a few times before the interview. I'm not going to embarrass myself.
We'll get it right. Don't worry.
DJ Star for now. She's interestingly enough from Merced, but a resident DJ over at Club Infernum. So it just feels really cool to kind of have it supported by friends and kind of be able to showcase some of my friends and kind of introduce everybody out there to all this cool stuff that's happening around us and all these cool homegrown artists, because one thing I quickly realized when I was trying to put on my own show is there's not very many. There's not very many around here. I asked you and you weren't able to do it, and I was like, shoot, that leaves me like a couple other people, and that's it. Like, there's not really much,
Right.
LA, Sacramento a little bit, but there's just such a huge kind of.
And that's why we shamelessly plug the Valley.
Yes. Yeah.
Because we want more artists. We want to embrace our artists here and uplift the community here in the Valley, because it's needed.
Most definitely.
Even though
I
it's
agree.
definitely getting a lot better and changing in the best way.
Every time I come out to one of like Disorder's show or you know, even M81 throws shows out here too. Anytime I go to a goth show in Fresno or anywhere south like Visalia, they're so incredible, and I'm like, why can't we have that like back home? Like, it'd be nice if I didn't always have to travel an hour and a half plus to, you know, get to, or an hour to be able to witness these cool events that are happening all around us. So yes, I'm very excited to bring you here. A big part of this interview is wanting to kind of introduce, you know, this is primarily listened to by my friends out in Merced, you know. So it's a good way to introduce everyone to you and a little bit about who you are and how you approach, you know, music and whatnot. I think it's going to be an absolutely amazing night. So one last question. I guess that was more of a commercial than a question. I've been asking everyone this season the same question, except Casa de Brujas. I'm so sorry I forgot to ask them the question, but for the zine, I'm going to email them. Another tangent. Why do you feel it's important to create art, particularly like in this time and age? And feel free to answer that as micro or macro as you want, as personal or as communal as you would like.
I think for me, this has been what has truly saved me as a person. I have been able to deal with so many personal experiences from making music and being an artist. Not only that, but we are encountering some terrible, unprecedented things that are going on. I don't think that's a secret.
Yeah, it's
and we need to be closer with our community more than ever before. Mm-hmm. We need to support each other locally, and we also need to support causes and belief systems that we all uphold.
Yes.
And I think that being in this particular community, the goth one in Fresno, it's really showing that kinship and also that care that we have for one another as people, mm-hmm. and in opposition to, let's just be honest, forces that are against us.
Yeah. And more obviously so by the day, you know, it's
more and more
increasingly more oppressive.
It's so oppressive, and I think that my music, but also just me being here, performing. Yes, it's fun, it's enjoyable, but I also deeply care about my belief system and my political stances, and that is not something I'm secretive about, mm-hmm. and that's why this is so important to me, and I hope that art becomes more and more important and more prevalent and celebrated, but also used as a means of changing.
No, I wholeheartedly
what's
agree.
Going on.
That's a wonderful answer, by the way. Everyone has done such a good job answering the same question in such a nuanced or slightly different way. I did say that was the last question, but I did have one more. Where can people find you on social media? Are you more, where are you most active? Where would be the best place to find out and keep up with you? I'm
pretty much everywhere. You'll find me mostly on IG, unfortunately.
Me too. Yeah.
At Evangile, I have 2 accounts, Evagilee, and then I have another music dedicated account, Evangile du Mal. And I post a lot on there, all my shows and updates. I'm also on all streaming platforms under Evangile, and also Bandcamp if you want to support my music.
A great way
purchase
to support your
it.
music, yes.
All under Miss Evangile, so it should be easy to find me most of the time.
It is pretty easy to find you. That's an interesting, unique enough name that it shouldn't be hard to find you. I'll definitely be sure to include all those links in the show notes to make it easy for people to find and listen to your amazing art. And thank you again. I'm so happy we got to do this. You know, even if it took a little while, in this case, I feel like that definitely worked to our benefit. This was a great interview. I've had fun talking to you, and
Thank
awesome.
you.
Thank you. I can't wait to watch you.
Yay!
Awesome.
Bye.